Let's turn our regular wardrobe into a Gruffalo wardrobe. So you'll see me taking it out here and almost breaking it. I feel like I do this every time I move it. It's a really complicated thing, and now that I've taken the hardware off it, the doors don't close. So I'm using Valspar's Stay Awhile blue kind of color here in just furniture paint in dead flat matte. We're just going to use that to get a good base on everything and get the sky color for our Gruffalo mural. So you'll see here I try really hard to avoid all these hinges, and I do a good job. And then I give up a lot later because it's really hard and complicated to get around these with so many paint colors and all the things. But the whole time I was doing this, these little bug things, which you'll see in a second, these guys, they just kept landing on the unit and I didn't want to paint them. So here's me having a coffee break and just staring at the sky because I live in Scotland and there are gigantic grey clouds everywhere, and if it rains this whole thing is ruined. So I've got to move quickly and hope that it doesn't just start storming everywhere. Here is me finishing up, and you'll see a costume change real quick just because I got paint absolutely everywhere. All over my trousers, all over the floor, everywhere. But the unit is looking good, so it's a mess. I lifted it into the garage after I left it to dry for a little bit, and then you'll see here I try and close the garage, but that just doesn't really work because I haven't moved it far enough in. But if I move it too far, there's no space to draw on it. So I shade it a little bit, and then I put my projector on and I outline my Gruffalo. So this is moving a lot faster than I was moving. This is sped up to about 3000% because I was moving very slowly here. But I had to get the Gruffalo in, the trees, the rocks, and then kind of shift the projector down a bit to do his feet because I couldn't fit it all in one thing, and then shift it again to get the little mouse guy in. Then it was time to move it back outside again and collect all my Valspar samples. I just went to the Valspar counter and got pretty much my Gruffalo book colour matched there. The man thought I was a little bit crazy because I was just getting different shades of browns and yellows and greens, and he obviously thought I just had the worst taste in paint. But there was a purpose behind it, and once I explained it to him, it made a lot more sense. But here is me starting to paint everything, realising this looks very red, but just kind of trusting the process on all of it. This was also the time I realised that I really needed to tape the edges because I did not want to go over the doors. I thought the doors would be great, but the rest of it I didn't really want to start that because if I started painting it I'd have to go all the way around, and I don't have the patience for that. So I taped it up with some frog tape and we are back to the painting. I'm using a much smaller brush here just to go over the little details because the big brush was just too big. Several coats later, and I'm starting on the mouse, getting some yellow in there and just really outlining him in several coats of paint because I think this paint needed about 3 different coats on it so that it wasn't too kind of see-through, and then it did just give like a really good kind of flat and clean look after all that. Here are all my sample pots, and you'll see I've skipped a few steps here because I didn't think you wanted a many hour video of me painting all the little bits and pieces on it. So now we're just filling in the last of the trees and the rocks, and then we're going to get to the fun part of outlining absolutely everything on here. So you'll see here I've got my acrylic marker pen in black, and here's me testing it on the frog tape because I am terrified at this point. It has taken me hours to color all this, and I'm like shaking so much that I worry if I can actually draw this. So I'm just gonna go for it, and here we go. Even watching this just makes me nervous because of how terrified I was to put this on, because I was like, this is either gonna make it look amazing or it's gonna ruin the entire thing. So I move really slowly, do one little horn, and then I can finally breathe again. So, there we go. And then just outline the rest of it. At this point, it was time for me to get my reference book out because the Gruffalo has some very distinctive features. So you'll see me getting his knees done, his nose done, and just his head, because at the end of the day, he has knobbly knees, turned out toes, and a poisonous wart at the end of his nose, and you gotta get it right. So there he is, and he is looking good. I am very impressed with how he is. I'm not gonna lie, I was so happy with myself when I was taking this tape off. It just looks so good and it's exactly what I thought it would look like. I've not done things like the shading on the picture and the little colors and whites and pinks and stuff. I just didn't want to ruin it. I think just this bold kind of block color suits it really well. And at the end of the day, my kids are probably going to draw on it, so I wasn't too bothered about that. But just taking this tape off was so satisfying. And look at it. Oh, now just time to get all the hardware back on. So I get my Ryobi drill and just screw it all back in place. And then after that, we get the grand reveal. I am so excited with how this turned out. I mean, look at it. It is absolutely gorgeous and it's everything I wanted it to be. I should probably seal it, but I don't really know how to do that or what I need for that. So I'm just going to see how it goes like this. And then, yeah, I'm going to move it upstairs and get it into the kids' room.